Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a simple pumpkin patch landscape. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. I've got my husband, Mark, with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's been on chat for our live show today while I'm painting, so if you've got questions, you can ask those in chat, and I'll try to answer them. Let's get started. Got a little tongue-tied there, sorry. I'm going to be using a Belgian linen canvas board. This is a Pro Series from Fredrix. They're 9 by 12 inch size, but you could really use whatever size that you wanted to for this. Our brushes are going to be Princeton brushes. They're our brush sponsor. Fredrix is our canvas sponsor, so thank you to both of them for providing our canvas brushes today. The Princeton brush here I've got for the large background area is going to be the number 12 Bright. In the Summit series, there's the green long-handled brushes. And then I've got several of the red-handled. Those are the VelvetTouch line. I've got a number 1 round, a number 4 round, a number 2 long round, and then a number 2 script liner. So just basically some round brushes for some of the grasses, mainly is what we're going to use those for. I really may not use all of these, but I just grabbed what I thought I might need. I haven't painted this yet, so we're just going to figure it out as we go along today, like normal. I've got a 3/8 inch and a 1/4 inch angle brush. That'll be kind of the workhorse for most of the pumpkins. And then I've got blender, the 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch blender for some of the, maybe some of the trees in the background, possibly some of the grasses. I've also got a fan brush and a Deerfoot Stippler for foliage again and grasses and things. So this 3/8 inch and number 2 Bristle fan, 3/8 inch Deerfoot in the Select and with the blue handles. Okay, the other brush that I'm going to try today, there's a new brush to me. I have not tried them yet. The brush guys sent me this and I thought I'd try them. So they're the VelvetTouch. They're a new brush from in the VelvetTouch line. They're called Petals. So I've got a 10 and a 6 and I think they're going to work for our grasses. So we'll see. They've got a really interesting shape. It's a triangle with a sharp point on one end and it's angled. So never tried them. We'll get to mess with them together. All right, let's go over our colors. We've got burnt umber, burnt sienna, quinacridone burnt orange, yellow oxide, cadmium yellow medium, phthalo green yellow shade, ultramarine blue, dioxazine purple, quinacridone magenta, cadmium red light, and cadmium orange. And this is unbleached titanium and titanium white. And I've got a little bit of glazing medium. I have more yellow and blue than I need, but I was just using up the last of the tube and that's how much came out. So we'll see. May have wasted some paint there. Well, I don't know. All right. So first thing we're going to do is just paint the background with our greenery. I think I sort of started sketching on here, but then I thought, it's just gonna be easier. There's so many pumpkins. It'll be easier just to paint them on after we get the background grasses in. So, hey everybody, welcome. Now I'm kind of jumping right in here.
Yeah, we're off to the races.
Oh, I told Mark this wouldn't be a long one, so I'm trying to keep my word. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I've heard that before.
I know you have. That's why I'm worried. Okay. So at the very top here, there's really just a very small sliver of sky. So I think I'm going to bring it down just slightly so there's a little bit more sky. There's some buildings and things back there. I'm going to simplify all that. The main focus is going to be our pumpkins. All of this is in kind of blurry anyways, so I really don't want to waste time or spend a lot of time on these far trees. So I'm going to come down about 1.5 inches to 2 inches off of the top of my canvas, which would be like if you're using a different canvas. So here's a halfway, here's our 1/4, and then maybe 1/4 again. So maybe like 1/8 of sliver at the top of the canvas, just kind of making a line there. And I didn't put it all the way to the end because this is coming up just a little bit right here and curving down, and it is going to curve down to about the quarter mark. So here's our half and quarter mark. So it's going to curve down like that, and then it's also going to curve down a little bit towards the halfway mark here. So there's kind of a couple of planes. And we're going to talk a little bit about perspective today, the way we're going to draw these pumpkins. I thought it was a really interesting lesson on that. So we'll get into that when we go to draw them in, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm working on that. Okay, so that's all I'm going to need because all of this is basically green. Just, varying shades of our light greens and kind of yellows, yellow greens. And so I'm just going to jump right in. Wet down my brush it off the side of the palette there. And for the sky, it's white in our picture, but I'm going to get a little bit of burnt umber and ultramarine blue, more ultramarine blue than burnt umber. So just like maybe 1 part burnt umber and probably 2 parts blue. So I'm making kind of a dark blue gray color, and then I'm going to get my white and add that to it. So I have just slight tint. What I'm going to do is exaggerate the light coming off of here. So we're going to use a cool light on our pumpkins. So all the highlights, we're going to have a little bit of blue in them. And then the back sides of them will have a warm shadow. So it'll be an orangey red shadow. And I think that'll be really effective. So we're going to kind of exaggerate that because there really is a little bit of blue in this light in the photograph that I'm seeing that's hitting the pumpkin. When it's hitting the pumpkins, they're kind of the brightest highlight areas are kind of almost blue. So we're just going to kind of go with that and make it a little bit more blue than it is in the photograph even. Because we can do that. We can do whatever we want with our painting, right? We can play with the colors. As long as we get the values right, we can do whatever we want with the colors just about. We can do whatever we want, period. It's our canvas, right? Don't let anybody tell you different.
I just contacted the art police, so they're watching you.
They're watching now? Okay, great.
Yeah.
I should have, yeah. That's them's fighting words. The art police, they don't like.
You have thrown the gauntlet down and they have accepted the challenge?
Yeah, I know. I always love it when I get comments in my, after the video's over, it's like, you should have used more red in that or whatever. And I'm like, okay. Like, I didn't. So what's the point? I mean, like, feel free. Feel free to do it on your painting. This one's mine. Mm-hmm. I chose not to.
It's kind of like like my cooking. I'm always getting told I should put more salt in the eggs.
That's true. Now that is valid.
Oh, I see.
I really wanted this to be a little bit more light on the bottom here. That's why I was kind of grabbing that white, but it's just because I use this blue chalk, it's just kind of mixing with it right here, but I'm not worried about that. What I'm going to do is just use this color and grab a little bit of my green and some yellow, cadmium yellow, and I'm going to mix it with the sky color, and that's going to tone it, make it more kind of disappear into the background. And I'm going to use lots of that warm burnt sienna. Maybe even a little bit of brown. I want it pretty dark. So there we go. Okay. So I'm just going to dab in with the corner of my brush here. I haven't switched out. Just a few little indications. I'm definitely going to have to go back over here and do some darker because these are darker in our photograph. I'm getting a little bit more of this. A little bit more of the orange and yellow. My paints are already starting to dry out. Too early for that. I did get a comment or a email from somebody today I thought was a good question about paints. They were saying that their paints are drying out. It seems like they're using a lot more paint than I am, and a lot of that has to do with water. So if you're using a lot more paint, it's usually because your paintbrush or your paints are drying out, and then you're having to use more paint to cover the canvas. So just kind of be sure you're dipping in and picking up more water every now and then. So I'm changing the silhouettes here a little bit. Just kind of messing with it. All right, I think that's good. And if that may be actually more than I wanted, but I think it'll be fine. We'll leave that. And I just wiped my brush out mostly just to get most of that color out. I'm going to get some more of this yellow. I'm going to get some yellow oxide and more of my ultramarine blue here. Sky color, remember? So I'm going to mix that with the yellows and it'll make kind of an olive green. And get some white. This will be kind of our, yeah, that'll be good. This will be our background. I'm just going to turn this a little bit so I can get kind of a good angle at it. And I'm going to go right along that, just brush. I always kind of start from the back because working from back to front will automatically get your layers right, because we've got these grasses on top, so then we don't have to worry about those grasses when we put the other colors on top. Of course, we've got other layers that are going to go on here, so this is not the final layer, but it was good to get in that habit. Okay, I'm going to use some brown here. I'm just going to tap in. There's a little bit, kind of almost across, straight across from this angle right here. Kind of splits this in half almost. There's just some dark blue or brown. This paint's still wet, so I'm just kind of using the corner edge of it to brush it out. Let's go ahead and pull some down here. Some of that brown. Okay, and then I'm going to get some more yellow. And up here, this is very yellow. Yeah, that's a great color right there. That's what we want. It's really bright, like almost lime yellow, but that ultramarine blue keeps it from becoming too bright. Like if we use the green or even a phthalo blue, it would become this kind of circusy, super bright green, like an apple green, which is fine. It's just not what we're going for here. So do dab in right here and then pull down. I think I really need to bring that over a little bit more. Kind of brought that to, I want that over a little bit more here. I'm just going to blend those two together, and I think I'm going to put more of the blue sky up there. So I don't want my hill to be right that far over. Just want it to be like right here and pretty fast slope there. I'm going to get my blue. I'm going to run out of it, of course, so I'll just blend it in there. Okay. See how that, just blending those two colors together, it actually kind of made it fade out in that corner, which is great. I'm happy with that. I'll probably go ahead and mix up some more blue once I let that dry, but I can't really do it right now because that's still drying. And you can see right here where this paint started to dry before I got, sorry about my dog barking in the background. He's probably going to do that all the way through the show, so apologize in advance. He's a puppy. He thinks he needs to be with me 24/7, so, which right now he probably pretty much is, except for when I'm working. So, all right.
So does that make me a puppy?
Yeah, you're my puppy. Yeah. I know, but Mark's gonna be sent back to work soon. Sad. I won't have my patio work buddy anymore. Been sitting out on the back porch doing work for the last 6 months. So,
yep.
I'm gonna have to say there's a lot of bad things about quarantine, and I feel sorry for the families that have been affected. But as far as our family, it's been kind of nice to have more time together. So it's been a positive coming out of it, I guess. Nice.
Yes, it
nice
is.
with all the bad going on. So one nice thing to say. All right, I'm gonna mix pretty much all of my colors here from here down, just about. So I've got the phthalo green, phthalo blue, and just about equal parts there. And then same thing with the burnt sienna and burnt umber. And those burnt sienna, burnt umber, what does neutralizes it and, you know, tones that color down. Some more earthy green, and then it also darkens it a little bit. Perfect. There we go. So that's what we want here. And of course, there's a big difference here, right? So we want to gradually work our way back up to this. So we've got this color still here. I'm going to spray it, make sure it stays wet, and spray this as well. I'm going to work here from my dark color and just kind of blend it up. As I come up, I want to just fade that out so I don't have a hard line to deal with later. I almost probably didn't mix enough of this dark color. I'll have to mix some more. That'll be enough for now. Really just mainly wanting to cover. I'll probably have to have you dry this, hun. Okay. Getting some of the yellow. So I want to merge these two. Grab the yellow. My brush is still dirty, so I'm going to just go right in between right here. See that? And just kind of lay that color, that new color that I've mixed with those two, just by kind of picking up that yellow right through the middle there. And then I'm going to pull it down. And I'm just feathering, kind of doing little X back and forth like this. You'll kind of develop your own way of doing it. It probably won't be exactly like mine, but just doing it, working quickly, and picking up some more, and getting, this time I'm getting a little bit more yellow because I want it to be closer to that color, and going just above that and pulling it upward into that yellow. And if we did it right, we'll get it close, and we won't have a super hard line there to deal with. Should be sort of faded up into that yellow area. And my paints are drying out a little bit, so I'm picking up some water. Don't get too much water. So I'm just gonna get it on the corner of my brush so that I don't make my paint soggy. You don't want that, because if you went in here with really wet paint right now, it would basically wash off the canvas. It will wash the paint off the canvas. And you want it to stick, obviously, so we want thick enough paint that it sticks, but still wet enough that it moves around on the canvas. If it's not moving around on you or for you or blending at all, then you need to just add a little bit of water. That'll help. Okay, so there we go. That's pretty good. We got a pretty nice blend. I'm pretty happy with that. Up to there. So I'm going to send that with Mark. He's going to dry that for us. That'll give us nice dry canvas to work with. I think one of the things that beginners don't know about acrylics when they're first starting with them is that, like, they get focused on one area, and they might just say, like, I want to paint this pumpkin. This is like my main pumpkin, and they forget about doing all this background work. And when you lay the foundation and build up from your far distant colors and undercolors, you know, we're working on these dark greens that are underneath these grasses. We're going to end up with lots of light grass on top, but you have to have that dark in here to have any kind of depth at all. And I think beginners kind of get focused on maybe finishing like this corner of the painting first, and then they, you know, think they're going to kind of move on that way instead of just kind of working on them in layers at a time. So I think if you get into that habit of doing a layer, letting it dry, even if it doesn't look good, it's not going to look good right off the bat. It's going to kind of go through several stages of ugly and uglier before it starts to look better. And if you try to focus too much too soon on one little area, and if I was to like go right on top of that wet paint and start trying to put my oranges in and try to put my highlights in and my shadows in and everything, I would end up with a big muddy mess. It would start to dry, it'd get all sticky and do weird things. So just kind of work in thin layers, and that will really help you. Get a hairdryer, you know, do it, and don't use super hot air when you're doing it too. That's one thing you don't want to do. Just kind of warm air. And Mark's gotten really good at doing that. So thank you, honey. He's my...
I'm a professional.
He's my professional hairdryer now.
Blower of the paint.
All right, so I'm going to pick up some more of this blue, brown, right? Kind of twice as much blue as brown. That looks about right. Some white. There we go. There's our sky color. And it's a lot wider than that, so I'm just going to... I've mixed up a little bit more color than we had before. So I'm going to get just white now on my brush. Kind of pull that in. I don't ever really mix right into colors. If you notice, I'm pulling the color and putting it in a different spot on the canvas. That keeps your paints from getting too muddy. So, okay, perfect. That's going to work just fine. So I'm going to pull down here where I was trying to get that covered right here. Good deal. That is covering nicely. And that is another thing about acrylics is that they cover really well over the top of each other. So if you do have a, need to do layering, they do that really well. They're great with layers. And because they dry so fast, you don't have to wait days between layers like you do with the oil paints. Oils are easy to blend. Acrylics are easier to layer, I think. So it's just a trade-off. Okay, getting some just white here, and I've switched to my 3/8 inch angle brush, and I'm just going to kind of go in here, blend out that edge, and then I'm going to get some of this yellow, green, and come back up here, and just while that blue is wet, I'm going to do some faded trees way back there. I could have left it the way it was. It didn't look bad really, but I do want it to be a little bit more resolved right up there. So that looks better, I think. It might go a little bit darker even with the green. And for the second layer, I'm going to let some of that first layer show through. So I'm kind of tapping it on, but I'm not fully covering the other layer. That's what will give us some extra depth too once we add more and more layers. All right, I think that's good. I'm happy with that. Up there, this guy. And then up there, I'm going to get, I think I'm going to get my, I think the 1/4 inch should be big enough. I'm going to get the 1/4 inch blender. I'm going to pick up some of the Quinacridone Burnt Orange. In fact, I want to get a little bit of the Cadmium Red Light too. I like the look, the Cadmium Red Light, when you add green to it, it turns really cool, like, I don't know, orangey green, warm green. It's a very interesting color. So I think that's pretty good. And then we've got this yellow. That's our background color here. We definitely need some of that in there. And we had the browns already mixed with so we had the burnt umber, a little bit of burnt sienna, and then a little bit of cadmium red light, not a lot, and mostly green. So there's mostly just the green, a little bit of the brown, a little bit of the burnt orange or the cadmium red light, and then I grabbed a little bit of this yellow that has the ultramarine blue from the sky, or it was this color, the ultramarine blue and brown, I think, with yellow, these yellows, both of them. So that's one thing, if you are following along, I do pull other colors that I've already mixed back into what I'm doing for the next layer. So it might help to write it down as I go, get a notebook if you're going to be painting along with me, because I don't really remember exactly what I've mixed before. I just grab it because it's already there. So I won't be like repeating. Once I mixed a color, I don't repeat necessarily what colors are in there every time I pick it up. So I get comments about that, but I really don't. Honestly, I'm moving too fast. I don't remember what I've mixed. I just have these mixtures and I kind of grab into them. So if you make notes, then you'll have it as I move along. You'll have it that you can refer back and go, okay, this part of her palette was blah, 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 whatever. You can even take a screenshot and write straight onto the screenshot what it was. All right, so I'm getting a little bit of this blue, the dark sky color, the ultramarine blue and burnt umber, more blue, and I'm added a little bit of that too. So it's always good to add a little bit of your sky color when you're doing these far distant trees and things, I find. Okay, that's a little bit too blue. I'm going to get a little bit of that. There we go. Okay, so I'm going a lot darker, and I'm going to go over this again. So I'm going to actually do probably 3 layers on this very back thing because I want to do, there's this kind of halo effect that's happening in here where the light color is peeking through the trees and it's creating these little kind of halos. The only way to do that is to go back over your dark color with the lighter color. So I'm going to do that once I get this down. Just needed a little bit darker color. This is probably, I'm not sure if I like this color. I think I need a little bit more orange in it. A little bit more of that warm, warmer, browner green. And you can see in the areas where, like here, where I'm trying to paint and it's not laying down paint right there, and that's because that paint is starting to dry right there. I put it on pretty thin and it's just kind of trying to dry, so I'm just going to kind of tap in with some thick paint and then move on and not go back over that while it's trying to dry. And that's where I was saying you can get kind of messed up when you're trying to like focus on one area. And if I went back in here and was like, I want to finish that tree right now, and I'm going to keep on putting layers on it over and over again until I finish it, then that's where you're going to get tripped up because your paint won't let you do that. It'll start to dry and then it'll start to get funky if you try to paint over an area that's trying to dry. Okay, so this brush is kind of nice for foliage because it's already got kind of a scruffy texture. If you don't have like one of these, just use any kind of brush that's got, kind of spread out bristles that are kind of fuzzy. This one is stiffer bristled. I like it because, like I have other brushes that have this texture. They're hog bristle brushes. They're that kind of the white brushes that you get in those multi-packs that come real cheap. But the thing about hog bristle brushes is that they are more really for oil paint because they get soggy when you get them wet. So just be careful of that. Once they get wet, they pretty much don't work anymore for acrylics. And you have to dry them out. And, they work fine, but you just have to be careful not to get them too wet. Okay, you see what I'm doing here? I'm just kind of taking that color and just pulling down a kind of a shadow in that foreground area, blending that together. So I think it's coming along really nicely. I like this. I never know what it's gonna do. I take some time before the videos start, and Mark can tell you, I sit here and I just stare at the painting, and I try to figure out how I'm gonna go about painting it, what I think will work. But I never quite know until I get in there and try it, whether the colors I'm thinking might work will work, or whether the technique I'm thinking of using in that particular area will work. So it's kind of nice when it happens, when it works out. The way I had in my head. Doesn't always happen that way. Pretty more often than not, it doesn't work out exactly the way I planned. I'm sure we'll have some surprises come soon, but for now, so far so good. Okay, so that I'm liking that. I definitely like the more kind of blue-gray too of the sky that we got here. And I'm going to bring this up just a little bit right in here and get a little bit more of that kind of yellowish green, getting closer to where the sunlight's coming up through here. You can tell just this yellow lighter color right through here. So I'm just going to bring that up right there a little bit. And maybe a little bit of that darker color. Some of that orange. There we go. Trying to get a little bit darker color to stick right there. Okay, then I'm going to get this yellow, maybe a little bit of white. Wipe most of it off my brush. I just have a little bit of it. I'm going to come in here where this sunlight's coming through this little area right here, and just highlight this top of this just a little bit. And go ahead and kind of brush out that. Okay. Nice. Get some of this. I'm going to also do right here, I'm just going to kind of tap it in right here, kind of right in underneath where I just did that dark shadow, and kind of put a little bit of the light color. What doing that is going to do is pull this light part forward and push that dark area back by putting this light color right in front of it. Just a little bit of white in that yellow mixture right here. It's really pretty much the color we already kind of put back here. I'm just kind of putting a little bit darker, lighter, you know, depending on what value is already there. You just want a little bit of a contrast. Doesn't matter if you're doing it lighter or darker, just so that there's just a little bit of contrast with what was there already. Okay, very good. I like it. I'm really not going to get much more fussy than this. I'm going to leave it pretty fuzzy and indistinct in the background here, blurry. This is kind of what I'm seeing. It's far distant, so kind of help our perspective, keep it kind of blurry. Automatically make it look like it's farther away. I'm going to get a little bit of that Quinacridone Burnt Orange here. If you don't have this color, you can mix Burnt Sienna and Quinacridone Magenta to get something similar, maybe a little bit of Cadmium Red Light. It's just kind of an orangey brown with a little bit of a pink undertone. So the magenta kind of helps with that. Okay, nice. So we definitely want, don't be afraid of going really dark. This is what really gives us some depth. Okay, I'm going to use it right in here. Trying to kind of guesstimate where this pumpkin's going to go, and I'm probably to the point where I probably need to go ahead and draw in my pumpkins so that I know where to start putting my shadows and things. While this is drying, we can do that. So I'm going to get my chalk. Actually, I think I'm going to use the chalk pencil instead. This is a charcoal pencil, charcoal white. All right, so the one thing about the perspective that I was going to mention was you'll notice on here, and I'm going to set this aside so I don't get my paper on it. So this front two pumpkins here are really almost filling up this bottom whole section of the canvas. So here's our width of the canvas. This is a halfway mark here. So this pumpkin is going from the halfway mark to almost to the edge right here. And then here's our halfway mark here. So it's really filling up almost this bottom quarter of the canvas. So we want to make sure that this one's nice and large. And then this one's a little bit smaller pumpkin. It's closer to us, so you would think it should be larger. But if it was the same size as this, it would be larger. But it's not. It's a smaller pumpkin, so it's just a little bit smaller. But it's also filling up a pretty good amount. Now here's the halfway mark. So there's two pumpkins filling up that section right there. So we're going to fit this one up in the upper corner of the halfway point, and then this one down in here. And then as you go up, halfway from this point up here, these pumpkins, so this next pumpkin, if it's the same size as this pumpkin, if this pumpkin is the same size as this pumpkin, when it's halfway up the horizon line from the bottom, right? it is going to be half the size of this pumpkin. So if we measure this from here to here, we're going to see that that pumpkin is half the size. And then it happens again. So here's our halfway mark from the horizon to here, right? Here's our halfway mark. Then if we half it again, these pumpkins are going to be half the size of this. So this one, like right in here, is going to be half this size. And it continues. You can also do a vanishing point. So like here's our horizon line. If you do a vanishing point on those 3 pumpkins right there, they're pretty much lined up perfectly to do a vanishing point. You see how they're all going to diminish pretty equally. This one's a little bit offset, but in these ones especially, look at how all 3 of these ones are diminishing. If you did a line here and a line here and then fit them in between, you're going to get the perfect sizes for those pumpkins. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're drawing them. Make sure you're checking your perspective. Just make sure that you're, you're not throwing a huge pumpkin way up here on my horizon line. It's going to throw everything off a little bit. So a lot of it. All right. So here's ours. We're going to make that quadrant right here. And we've got this huge pumpkin right in here that's going almost to the bottom. The bottom part is it's actually kind of farther over. I need to make him a little bit wider and maybe a little bit narrower here. So he's right in here. The bottom of him is hiding in the grasses. And just making sure that I'm making him big enough. So here's our halfway there. So he's right up to that. I'm still not making him big enough. See that? Okay, so right in there. That's how big he is. And then the top of him is right in here. It's like, here's our halfway mark up here, maybe a quarter of the way, but probably about the third of the way. If you split that pumpkin into thirds, it's probably right in here in the third. And then the top comes just above where the top of the pumpkin is. So I'm going to draw him out here. And his lines are going to come out from the center like that. Okay. Then we're going to have another pumpkin right here. Remember, and he's going to fill in this from here to here. So it's going to make your lines, and then that way you can know, okay, I've got to make him this big. So he's like right in here. He's facing away from us. I don't want to see the top of him really. He's all the way to the bottom of the canvas there. And I don't see any top on him. Okay, and then remember, here's our halfway. So we've got another pumpkin that's fitting in right here all the way up to that halfway mark. Right in here. Bottom of him, there's just a very small border between these two. And then we've got the top on him up here. We've got another pumpkin on its side, just above this one right here. This one's probably going to be about half the size of that. Well, this one's definitely half the size, so this one's even a little bit smaller than that. Going off. Okay, and he is right, actually I probably didn't make him high enough. He is right on the halfway line. So the bottom of him is right on the halfway line. So he's a good reference point pumpkin. Anytime you've got something that is like hitting right directly on your midline or something, that's really helpful because then you know where other things are going to play off of it. So that's there. And then this one is also right on that midline right here. And he's tucked in right between these pumpkins here. There's not very much room between this one and that one. And he is going all the way up almost to the halfway mark. So here's our halfway. He's almost going up to the quarter mark here. So he's somewhere right in here. If you can't draw and this stresses you out, just I'll have the traceable available. The traceables are $2 a month for unlimited downloads. So, and you can just buy 1 month and cancel anytime you want. It's not like, you you can keep the downloaded traceables, so you're not locked in forever. You can cancel whenever you want. Don't ask me to cancel though. I get a lot of emails from people like, cancel my account, and I'm like, or can you change my credit card number? And I'm like, I have no access to any of that. Like, I use the website just like you do, so it's like asking me to change your YouTube account or something like that. I don't have any access to any of that. And that protects both of us. It protects you from fraud. It protects somebody, who may be, offering something that they're not, or trying to get people's credit cards or something. Who knows? But it's all secure. Patreon handles all the payments, and so I don't have anything to do with any of that. So if you need to cancel or change it, you just have to. They have a really great help desk and tells you all about how to do all that stuff. It's got really great instructions, but don't send me an email about it, please. I get a lot of emails about that during the week. Not just that, but other technical issues. I'm like, sorry, I don't. Not my website. I use it. But
correct. It is a third-party company that we're not affiliated with. Right. We just use their services.
Exactly.
So we have no way to go in and make any changes to your accounts or anything like that.
No. But their Patreon will help with anything like that. They're pretty helpful, and they're great. Their help desk I found very, very good. Okay, so here we go. We got a really good, diminishing line there too, those three. And I got another one right here that's kind of stuck right in there, kind of right up next to this one. You can move these around however you want, as long as you're keeping them in perspective. You can put as many or as few pumpkins as you want. You don't have to do exactly what's in the photograph. I won't tell anybody if we change it. I won't see it, so I won't even know. But don't feel like you have to do exactly what is here. Okay, so this one is just down from this one. There's another. We're getting toward the end of our pumpkin patch up here. Right there. Love it. These are so fun. When I saw this image, I was like, oh, I got a pumpkin. I love painting pumpkins, so I was really excited when I saw this. I was like, yes. We used to go to a pumpkin patch with my boys every year, and they'd have the kindergarten would go, and I would always take whatever child was not in kindergarten went along for the ride because I always enjoyed it. So they got to get out of school with their brother, and we'd all do the pumpkin patch. And sometimes we went with friends too, just on our own. But did you ever go with us, honey?
No, I wasn't allowed to.
You were working. You never got to have any of the fun field trip stuff.
I don't think I was ever invited.
I'm pretty sure you were.
I think you were too scared of what I might do at the pumpkin patch.
That you might what?
Scared of what I might do at the pumpkin patch.
In front of all my friends?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't think so. There, and a little baby one right here. Another little one right here. Another little one, a little bit bigger one right here. Again, they don't have to be all the same size, right? Because they're all different sized pumpkins, so I don't feel like just because they're farther away they have to be smaller. This one could be, bigger than this one if it's a bigger pumpkin. Doesn't, but okay, I think that looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that. So now we kind of know where our pumpkin's going to be. And we did pretty decent, I think, on the dark area here. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and just paint in a little bit of the pumpkin color, and that way, I know we're going to have to do it again, but that way we'll be able to work around it, and we won't cover over our pumpkins too much. We'll have them in there. So I'm going to get the Cadmium Red Light. Man, I cannot say my words. Drawing, I'm telling you. Will take me right out of the word part of my brain. Okay, I am going to scrape off. Oh, this is dry now, so I did not keep it wet while I was painting, or was drawing, so I need to clean it off. Give me some space to work.
Oh yeah, I was supposed to get you more razor blades.
Yeah, you were. Did you go to Lowe's?
No.
Okay.
I just got breakfast because of company.
Yeah, we had my dad come visit, and my son Nathan. My dad was with us for several days. This was great.
Mm-hmm.
So, a surprise visit. Took some time off this week to be with him. He's had a rough year. It's been he had a bout of cancer, and he's doing better though, so, or he seems to be responding well. So it's been a while since we've gotten to hang with him. It was great.
Yeah.
Except for him and I both fell while I was here. So there was that. He accused my son Nathan of tripping him, which did not happen, but that was really funny. The dog tripped me, so that was what happened there. Thankfully, it was outside on the grass, so nothing got hurt. That was fun when your dog stands right in front of you while you're trying to walk, and then when you try to step forward, he stands right in front of you again, so you can't catch your fall. Or step on the dog, or break something. Well, all right. I've got cadmium orange, cadmium red light here, kind of mixture, and that'll kind of be our base for our pumpkins. I'm going to use the look at how pretty that color is. A little bit of cadmium or a quinacridone burnt orange here to darken it up slightly and make it more kind of a almost pinkish tone, undertone. That'll be kind of our base color for our pumpkins. And I'm going to use some unbleached titanium that will, look at how pretty that color is. Use a little bit of the orange to brighten it up. The quinacridone burnt orange will kind of dull the color just slightly. It's actually kind of pretty bright. If we want to dull it more, we could use the brown or even like a green, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I kind of like it a little bit bright, so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of lay in sort of the general area of these pumpkins here. And then we can we're making pretty good progress on these, actually. Background is, most of this is pretty much done.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
Thanks.
Now, are you going to paint in the tank after everything? Or I didn't see you block it in or talk about it during the perspective half of halves of whatever. Oh, and I'm also kind of glad that NASA doesn't use the same measuring method.
It's scientific. The finger width method.
It's about halfway to the moon and then another half to the half. So, yeah, we should be good.
Hey now.
Hey, if it works, it works.
My math. Notice one thing I didn't mention was that all of these are going to be pretty much cut off the bottom, or bottom halves are down in the grass there, so don't be drawing circles. At least the very bottom of these are all going to be hidden down in the grass.
And I think we've told the story before about our tree pumpkins.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Angela likes to put pumpkins out on the front porch during the fall, and very fall festive looking and all that stuff. But like all things, they start getting yucky.
They start rotting.
Right. So the boys used to have to carry them down, and we just throw them down in the creek area. And then, boys being boys, throw stuff at them to break them up.
Hatches.
And
Hatches. And BB guns. Use them for target practice. Chop them up. Have all kinds of fun with them.
And so the next year is towards the fall of the following year, when the leaves were starting to fall off the trees again. I looked up and saw the orange pumpkins hanging from the branches of the trees. The vines had grown up through the trees, and
the pumpkins had seeded themselves out there. And they must have had just the right conditions. And it grew up into the tree. Never seen that before ever. So I guess it would be like a trellis, right? You know.
Yeah.
I got some yellow here and just adding it to this one. These are kind of more in the direct sunlight here. Yeah, it was pretty entertaining. So we had tree pumpkins that year.
I mean, they weren't super big, but
No.
it was just quite funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I had bought pumpkin seeds to try, but we didn't have a place to plant them, and now we've got all my flowers in the plot planters, so it's too late now. Plus, they can't grow that fast. But I was able to get pumpkins this year. Last year I waited too long and I didn't get, we were still in the middle of our renovation, and this time of year we had our home renovation last year, and man, it took forever. We went from like August, September, October, November. We barely got everything out by Christmas. So fall kind of got passed over last year, somewhat. And by the time I thought, I ought to buy some pumpkins, and they cleaned off all the tools off the front porch so that it actually looked decent, there were no pumpkins left at Walmart. I got like 2 or 3 like really ugly ones. I think I got what they had, but they were not very pretty. So this year I got my pumpkins early. They've been out for a couple weeks, and they're probably going to rot before Halloween because they've been in full sun. But hey. All right, so just add same colors, just kind of picking different tones here and there. They're not all going to be exactly the same color. Some of them are more in the light than others. And these are all going to get like a lot of highlighting happening. So this is just the base tones. This is going to be probably way dark for most of these. They're going to get a lot lighter once we get the upper layers on. But we're just kind of putting them in. If I put them in dark enough, I'll be able to see them through my grasses, even if I cover over them. That's the idea here. Why I'm putting them in now. I'm going to get a little bit more yellow for this one. This guy back here has kind of got a little more yellow. Darker color. These ones are starting to get really dark. One thing also that you'll notice is that on your with your values, they're going to start to get darker as you come down. Your brights will get brighter, your darks will get darker. So all up in here there's not as much value change between these two colors. Even our dark areas are not that far from our light colors. There may be one or two levels darker or lighter, but as we get closer down to the bottom here, closer these brights and the darks are going to be much farther apart and much more like much closer to this darkest dark and lightest light, whereas up in here you're probably closer to these tones in the middle somewhere. you're not going to have that super dark or that super bright in the colors. I mean, depending on where it is, you know, but there's just a lot less value difference in your colors in general. So as I'm getting closer to the bottom, I can add more. My point was, as I'm getting closer to the bottom, I'm going to add more of this Quinacridone Burnt Orange to my pumpkins. The very bottom layer there, where they're going down into the grass. And I can add that later too, but might as well do it while I'm kind of doing it now. And this is, I don't know why I did it there, because that's not where that is. This is going to be the most tedious part. This will take a little bit of time, you know, just filling these in. The rest of it is pretty fast as far as the background goes. Go right in here. You can tell my paints are starting to get dry. So you can see that they're kind of breaking up on me and they're not wanting to go on. So you know, the tendency would be to grab more paint instead of get water. So get a little bit of water, then get paint. And that way because your brush is drying out too, just like your paints are. So your brush has to be a little bit wet to be able to. Otherwise, it's just going to suck all the moisture out of your brush or out of your paints as you pick up more paint. This one we're kind of seeing the bottom of him. He's kind of sitting on top of the grass somewhat. And get some of that. Maybe some yellow oxide. Just blending it as I go. You doing, hun?
Let me see. All systems are go.
Chat doing all right? Any questions? Been very quiet today.
No, there's some questions, but chat's been answering the questions.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
And growls.
They're pretty awesome. Yes. Well, I'm from California, Arizona area, so guys is like y'all in California. It goes for both. It's a catch-all term.
But let's keep it straight, though. Coke is Coke.
Straight.
Period.
Sir.
Don't bring me that other soda in a blue can that starts with a P. That is not Coke.
Very true.
One of the French guys called it Atlanta champagne.
Really? That's great. Did they like it or no?
Oh, yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
That's funny. I like that. Atlanta champagne. Okay. I'm not worried about my chalk lines. Those will erase when I get done with this. I'll just touch them with water. So. But I am trying to kind of, as I paint these pumpkins in, sort of do my brush strokes in the direction that I'm seeing the ribbing on the pumpkins, and that way kind of be less to do later. And this one down here is pretty red. Might even get some magenta. Use the Quinacridone Burnt Orange. And you can see how transparent that color is going on over that green, that dark green. So if it doesn't cover, that's where you can bring in a little bit of white, either the Unbleached Titanium or the Titanium White, either one. See, that'll cover that green, and then when we put our layers on again, it'll cover, it'll be covered. We won't have that green showing through, which I don't really hate at this point. It's fine. This is our first layer on our pumpkin, so I'm not worried about it. What are you laughing at?
Just the way you said it. I don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's going to behave like that, okay, I guess.
No biggie.
So if I was doing this tutorial, this would be about my best right here, and we'd be done.
Hey, all right. That'll be perfectly fine. All right, let me think here. I want to put my color in there, but I don't want, I guess I'll go ahead and use this 1/4 inch brush here. All right, so I want to put my color between my trees now, so I need that sky color again. So you're going to get real good at mixing this color. Blue, brown, 2 parts blue, 1 part brown. Make a dark blue. You could probably use Prussian blue if you have it. It's probably similar to this color, so that would work. You could just use Ultramarine Blue if you don't want to have that brown to deal with. But it's not a bad idea to, and it doesn't have to be exact. I think that people get tripped up with that and think that, you know, it has to be the exact color, and they just, you know, mix. But even if it's not the exact color, I can just take a little bit of white, or as long as I kind of, you know, just blend it out to what's already there. It can look like, you know, it might look like a cloud. It might look like, you know, just a deviation in the sky color. It doesn't have to, my color is not, you know, uniform, so it doesn't have to be. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit of glaze because I want this to be somewhat transparent. And what I'm going to do is go around these trees. I'm going to go over them. Add just a little bit of the light color over the top, and that's going to make them look hazy. I'm just going all the way around the outsides of them. I can use my finger to kind of tap it out. See, I don't know if you can see that, but. And then where I want it to be a little bit more obvious, I can use a little bit more paint. But this is pretty close to my sky color. So just to make sure that I don't have like a halo around here, I'm just going to pull out some of this color and blend it into my sky just slightly. And then that way, if some of it shows or if it's not exactly the color, I won't have a halo of a new color on here in my sky. So that's how you kind of introduce a new color. Just going to pull it out into some other areas, kind of go side to side with it so that if it streaks, it looks like clouds maybe. So this is done, this is not done. So you can see, you can leave this out if it doesn't bother you, you know, like if you like the sky the way it is, leave it. Totally fine. I'm gonna actually add some yellow to this too and do some parts with a little bit of a yellow because I'm seeing that also. So I'm gonna add some yellow. And this will be like in the in-between parts where we're right on the edges. A little bit of cadmium yellow light, or cadmium yellow medium, and white. You could use zinc white. I almost pulled in the zinc white, but I decided not to. I think the titanium white will do a little bit better for this because it'll cover better. I think the zinc white will be too subtle. Don't think it'll cover as well. I need a little bit more coverage. See how pretty that is? In the background, sorry. I'm going to go back to the blue.
On the pumpkins, would you ever paint in like white first?
No.
Okay.
No. No, you need that dark color underneath for the white to pop off against because it's on top of everything. Yeah, no, I would not.
Okay.
It'd be a lot harder to get your colors right, your dark. That's something you would do with watercolors. You'd start with your light, you leave your lights, but with acrylics you go opposite. You do darks first and then lights on top. You could start with your mid-tones, which is kind of what I did here. I went a little bit dark to mid-tones. Mid-tones is fine. And then you just add your dark colors and your light colors on top of that. But go save the highlights for last. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I feel like I kind of did all three of those sort of even, so I'm going to mess those up a little bit, space them out a little bit. Some of that green, oh yeah, it had the cadmium red in it. Cadmium red and green. Going down low here, adding the dark colors back in at the very bottom. Okay, and then I'm gonna tap tap in along that bottom edge there and just kind of add my dark area. And curve in a little bit side to side. This is ultramarine or burnt umber green mixture here that we did. Okay. I'm gonna get some yellow oxide, add it to that tree color that we had. These all have kind of multiple colors in them, so don't feel like you have to just do one color and be done. You can add other colors in there too. That'll really add a lot of interest. Sorry, I cut off the camera there. Sorry. For once it was not your fault.
For once.
Yeah. Because I never do that.
You just don't pay attention to how zoomed in I am. I mean, jeez, I can't do everything over here.
Can't paint and work cameras.
Yeah, I can't chat and make sure you're on camera. Come on.
Okay. All right, so getting some, now this is obviously the lime green color that I was talking about before, just adding the phthalo green to the yellows. So if I want to tone it down a little bit, I'm going to add a little bit of the ultramarine blue. It'll still be bright, but it's not as bright. And grab some of the white. I'm just gonna tap in a little bit of that color. Maybe add a little bit to our trees there, give them some highlight. It'll actually help the yellow areas. Look at this. Right here is giving me fits. It's not. Think about where your light side is. You know, if I'm doing this, I'm going to put it on this side of the tree mostly so that it's catching that light. Get some burnt umber and green here for this back side. Okay. And I'm just going to use some of that kind of darker green to add some interest in this field back here. Just doing this side-by-side sweep, side-to-side sweep here. Go ahead and use some of this brighter green over the top of this brown here. Give it some highlight. And this is where we've got our pumpkins in, so we're going to kind of start working our way around them. And I'm going to use some paper towel here. I need another paper towel. Just going to wipe off all my chalk marks here now. And try to leave the pumpkin centers there. The pumpkin stems, I should say. There we go. Okay. So we're honestly pretty good as far as the values go. I think we got it pretty spot on there when we put them in. So I'm going to get some of the green and brown here, burnt umber, and I'm just going to kind of find some spots here to add a little bit of darker patches. Now, this is also going to get darker, or going to get smaller. The grasses are going to get smaller, just like the pumpkins. So keep that in mind. When you're doing this, keep your grass the same kind of height as your pumpkins. You don't want huge grasses way back here. Getting some of the brown there. And I want some of this darker color kind of behind and around some of these pumpkins. And don't worry about putting the color over the pumpkin. Like I said, we're going to be painting over most of it. I just wanted them in there so I didn't have to draw it again. And also it'll help me know kind of where to put this darker colors. Kind of think about the shadows maybe happening, on this side. There's not a huge amount of shadows I'm seeing, but there's some little bit of darkening on this back side of the pumpkins. So put that in. Plus it'll help when we put our lighter colored grasses in to have a little bit of this dark color in there. Just setting my brush down, kind of flicking it upward to create grass-like textures. A little bit of water. They look green. Let's get some orange, Quinacridone burnt orange in there too. Burnt umber. Let's get some purple. Purple will really darken it up. There we go. I'm putting these darker colors, but I'm still trying to kind of blend them in just a little bit. So you can see I'm kind of scrubbing out the bottoms of them slightly so they blend in just a little bit to what's already there. That'll help with subsequent layers, just not having to have like a super hard line to put my grasses over that'll be hard to cover.
So, exactly, what is the minimum number of pumpkins to be considered a patch?
More than two, fewer than, I don't know.
So that's what you call a group of pumpkins a patch?
Yeah,
like a murder of crows and
exactly.
school of fish, a patch of pumpkins.
Yep. I guess so. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if vegetables have group names. Scientific.
Now these are free-range vegan pumpkins?
Yes, no pumpkins were harmed in the taking of this photo.
Okay,
Well,
good.
I can't guarantee that, actually. They've all been cut off from their vines, looks like, so I'll take that back. They died so you might have pie. The noble sacrifice. Okay. Going in and darkening up around these pumpkins here. Again, not worrying about if I get it on them. I'd rather get it on the pumpkin than to have this weird halo around the pumpkin of lighter color, so don't do that. Don't go around it and leave this light color all the way around the pumpkin. All right, getting there. A little bit more. Probably could have mixed up a bigger batch of this color, but I have a small brush here, so. All right, so I'm just scrubbing, leaving a little bit of this lighter color, but I really could kind of just fill in this whole area if I wanted to, and then do my light colors over the top. I do need it dark enough though, so just make sure you're not leaving too much of that light color, because it needs to be real dark back in here, especially almost black. Purple, green. And the brown kind of neutralizes that purple so it doesn't look so obvious. Purple and green are great combo. Great black to use instead of regular black for your landscapes and your green areas. It's great. Gives a much more richness than just a black would give. Much prettier color. Another color that looks good with, which is similar, would be. I don't have phthalo blue, but phthalo blue and phthalo green to make a turquoise. Turquoise and magenta make a great black as well. See, there it is. There, it's a little bit more of a maybe not as dark. Pretty. Okay. Really dark right here. About halfway down, all of this should be very, very dark in our dark areas. Up in here, they're not as dark, not as obvious of a contrast. Okay, we'll just let that, have to let that dry. So I'm going to go ahead and use this and mix up some of the bright green with the ultramarine blue and the cadmium yellow, a little bit of the yellow oxide. And then grab a little bit of that dark color. Actually add a little bit of orange to this area up here. I'm seeing some orange Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to set the brush down. This is the Stippler. I thought it did a really good job of making grasses when we did our landscape last time. So I'm going to go ahead and use it here to do my distant grasses. It'll hold more paint, it'll put it on faster and a little bit better than smaller brushes might. Set my brush down, flick it upwards. Definitely some orange that I'm seeing back in here, so I'm going to go ahead and get some of that cadmium red light and orange. Put some of it right in here. Get some of that darker shadow color, add it to that. There we go. I'm just fading that all out a little bit. I don't want to lose all my separation between my colors though, so get some of that darker color here. Okay. Some of my darker color, some of that lighter color. Go ahead and go up in here. And then I'm going to get some more of that yellow. Just go right along that ridge of separation there. Make sure that that's brighter, and I'm definitely going to have to put another layer of this with the lighter color because it's not wanting to cover. Okay, so get some white, some yellow. Got that green still in there, but I'm wanting to go a couple shades lighter here. I want it to stay pretty yellow. There we go. Keep them small, so don't draw it up too much, but I want this lighter color here. Okay. I'm going to switch to a fan brush here. Well, let's mix up a good amount here. I want Phthalo green, ultramarine blue. My cadmium yellow. Get some yellow oxide too. I need a pretty good amount of that yellow. There we go. And then my highlight areas, I want much more yellow and white. Okay. These are getting really sticky.
What's your spray bottle that you use?
It is a fine mister spray.
It's
It's in my Amazon store.
Okay. It's like for hair, right?
Yeah. It's a fine mister for hair spray. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit of glaze just because I'm adding so much water. Here, it'll help keep that paint fluid, but you want it to be kind of a milky consistency for it to be able to come off this brush well. Yeah, there we go. Just tapping very lightly. Yeah, this is tricky because we've got so many layers here, and there's, you know, these pumpkins that are way back here are not finished yet, and we're putting the grasses in front of them, but I mean, you gotta do it at some point, and we're gonna probably have to put some grasses in again over them once we finish them, but kind of going over them just a little bit. And again, keeping these grasses that are farther away here smaller. Get some of this darker grass color. Add it back in here. There's some darker values that I kind of lost in that area there. Just small little flicks of the brush. Setting it down, flicking it up. And I can use the corner of the brush to kind of spread it out if I kind of get too much right there. I think I got a little bit too much right there. Okay. Much more yellow and white here. Maybe even add a little bit of the orange, make it a little bit more golden yellow. I'm adding it to that green. So I'm looking at the comparison though. There's a lot more of that kind of golden, orangey, yellow-like happening. So I still need to go a little bit. There we go. Maybe that's closer. Lighter, just keep on adding layers. And if you've got like some lines here, then just kind of come up underneath. You can get a little bit of the darker color and come up underneath to try to hide that line of the brush created. I'm really covering up a lot of that pumpkin there, but I'm not worried about it because I can paint it back in. It's a pretty good amount of that light color coming down right in this area here that we need to get. Get a little slightly bit darker. Just kind of going back over and making sure it's kind of blended in well. And then back in here it's a little bit more patchy, but then right over here you're seeing another really bright patch of that light color. Kind of grass is coming in. I'm gonna hold my brushes kind of at an angle. Get some of that darker green. Just gonna cover over right there where I got a little too much. Alright. And then I can go back in with my darker green at the base of these and add some of that back in too to kind of camouflage the bottom of that a little bit. And those are pretty thick. I don't know how that color turned out, so probably messed with those a little bit. But all right, let's go ahead and before I get too far gone, I'm gonna go ahead and add some highlights to the pumpkins and kind of start to define them a little bit. So getting the ultramarine blue and white, mostly white here. This is gonna be my highlight color on the front part of the pumpkin. I'm going to go ahead and clean that out. Use just the tip of the brush. Pick up a little bit of color. I'm going to brush it out so that I've got kind of just color here and blend it out a little bit. Of course, we're going over, may just go ahead and grab some of the orange and mix it with this color, just so I have kind of a halfway color. And fill back in some of the pumpkins a little bit. They got covered by the grass a lot, some of them. Some orange, cadmium orange, and unbleached titanium here. Use this just kind of at the top. Leaving that dark kind of toward the bottom of the pumpkins if there is any. And some of that burnt orange, cadmium red light color. I'm going to use it at the bottom of these. So I'm just going to kind of fill it now. Right there, it's showing through that thing because I put on that blue, and then before the blue, while the blue was drying, I put on the orange and it lifted. So I'm just going to put on a pretty good thick amount of paint right there, and just I'm going to have to let it set before I do anything else to it. Okay. Here we go. Okay, then I'm going to get this blue. Paint it on there while this is wet. So just kind of use the tip of the brush and get it on the top and this side with light's hitting it. So weird for you to be so quiet. Oops, I messed with that one again. I wasn't supposed to do that.
Just watching the show. Trying to think of other witty things to say, but also maybe on a sugar crash after that hot chocolate.
Not that many pumpkin jokes come to mind right now.
Well, we had an interesting discussion after we talked about the patch of pumpkins, the names of some other groups of things. So
I'm surprised we don't have any like puns happening.
Oh, now you're asking for it.
Mm-hmm. It's a gorgeous pumpkin.
Well, I mean, I just used that one a few shows ago, so.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, obviously you listen to me, so.
Touché.
It's the one time a day where neither of us listen to each other. And
Exactly.
we don't get in trouble for it.
Yeah. Yeah. True that. I listen. I'm just so focused on this. I just miss a lot of stuff. I don't remember. You don't remember stuff either, though. We were trying to remember what made us laugh the other day during the show, and we need to just go back and watch our own videos to remember what we were talking about that made us laugh so hard. At least we got record of it now. Our stupid conversations that we have.
Well, also, I try not to make everybody upset by talking.
Yeah. Been trying to be sensitive to the haters.
That's right. They're here for the painting.
Right. I don't know. I think that a lot of the people that show up live are here for hanging out with you more than anything. I think you're my secret weapon.
That's pretty sad if I'm your secret weapon.
Well, secret whatever. Not weapon's not the right word.
I'm the ace in the hole.
That's right. That's it.
There you go. I'm the star power.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This is coming out around, all right. We're going to glaze back over this, so if it goes on too light, don't worry about it. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. I feel like I missed one. No, I guess I didn't. That one's there. Getting some of the lighter orange mixture here. This one had a little bit of yellow in it. This one did too. I think these ones that are more in the path of the sunlight have a little bit more of an orange tint to them. Or yellow tint, I should say. I'm sorry. I meant. Go ahead and put a little bit of this yellow, orange. Some of these up there too. Go ahead and do kind of the streaks of the. If you missed the pumpkin we did the other day, this is basically what I'm doing here. Just dry brushing this lighter color over the top of this darker color. Getting a little bit of the blue. Blue may seem like a weird color to use, but it's actually working and it's what I'm seeing, so. I think it's gonna work. You can make it even more obvious blue if you wanted to. We could do that on some of these, especially like around the backside here, this guy. I'm gonna do that on some. Do a little bit of blue on the shadow side of these. See how pretty that blue is against that orange. It's a neat combo. Since they're opposite on the color wheel, they work well. This shadow, they complement each other. And this is like I said, I'm exaggerating this color, so don't worry about it. We can always glaze back over it and tone it down if we need to. Okay, I did not mean for that color there. I don't want that lighter color in that sort of part of the pumpkin. I thought I was getting some of this, but let's get some of the Cadmium Orange, Cadmium Red Light. Make a little bit of the yellow oxide to it. There we go. We're doing the warmer colors down here. Get some of the Quinacridone burnt orange for the bottom part. Pull that up. where I'm kind of glazing here. Watered down paint here. Tapping in. How you doing, hon?
Doing super duper.
Good. Just realized these pumpkins are overlapping right here. I need them closer. Get some of that darker burnt orange for the bottom.
You doing okay over there?
I'm doing okay.
You want to swap out for a little while?
Yeah, you want to take over?
Sure. We'll see how this goes.
Okay, so just pretty that color is. So.
Did you remember your nail color today?
Yes, it's called mural on the wall, I think.
Mural,
or something like that. There's 2 murals in it. I think it's called mural on the wall. I think that's the name. Kind of a play on mirror.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it.
Thanks. I appreciate the help.
Just making sure. Well, you're acting like you didn't understand what I was saying, so. Mural?
Well, I wanted to make sure that you were saying mural.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was. Yes. I'm using a little bit of this. I added a little bit of the green yellow to it here too. I'm seeing some of that kind of reflected up into the pumpkin over here. Is he in puppy jail on there? It sounds like he's in puppy jail.
Outside.
Oh, he's outside? I can hear him all the way from outside.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Our neighbors are probably loving that. So glad the Andersons got a dog. My afternoon naps would not be the same without it. Okay, here we go. Oops, I'm making a mess. We are getting pretty close here. Not too far left. So we're at 2 hours. So I'm way over my 2-hour limit here. I told Mark I thought it might be about 2 hours, but That's not true. He didn't believe me anyway, so it's okay.
No.
It's all good. Using some of that cadmium orange and this blue that I mixed up. Wiping that off and just pulling that edge out, that wet edge down to blend it in a little bit. And I can get some of the Cadmium Red Light, Quinacridone Burnt Orange to do the bottom part here. Okay, getting some of that light blue here. Pulling it down. Doing it in like streaks there. So I'm getting these sections that are separated out on this one. Little segments. I'll go back in with my darker colors to add the segments on that one. I kind of ended up with a solid color there. Getting that blue. Blue and white, that's all this is. Ultramarine blue and white. Okay, put some, do a little bit more blue on this side. Will look a whole lot better when we glaze these, so I'm gonna save your judgment for still not done. So just like that lady's husband that came through the other day, she left me a comment. She was like, my husband came through and you were halfway through I think it was the flower, and he's like, that doesn't look anything like it. And she goes, oh no, wait, it will. No, it was a landscape. I think it was the landscape we did a couple weeks ago. Yeah. It'll get there. You just gotta have patience. It takes a few layers to get there. And your brain is going to be screaming at you at this point that you're doing it wrong. So you have to have patience with yourself too if you're painting it. You're just going to trust that process. It'll get there eventually, you know. And if it's not looking good yet, that just means you're not done yet. So does not mean you're doing something wrong. Just need to keep on working at it until it gets to where you like it. Putting this color just on that tip of the brush will really help you get a little bit more control over this. Be able to put it where you want it to go. Just trying to get a little bit of these striations that are happening in the pumpkins. So there's these sectioning things happening. I'm gonna get some of that orange, mix it with this for this one. I think that was a puppy tail. Take a puppy tail. Okay. This is definitely, rough looking right now, so a little bit of the Cadmium Red Light here, mixing it with this color. I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. Just gonna push back some of that color a little bit. All right. Go. So I want to stop the highlights right in here somewhere. So it's just mainly right along that outside edge. There, these ones have that cadmium orange in it, so kind of more a little orange tinted than the blue. Get a little bit more of the blue for over here. These ones aren't as blue. I feel like it's got a little bit more yellow almost in it, but I'm going to go ahead and go with that. And I can tint it yellow later. This is where I want to clean up that these edges and any of the grass that we put over the top of it. Clean that up. any of the grass that we put over the top that we don't want, I should say. The ones on the bottom I'm not worried about. It's the stuff on the top here that we want. The cadmium red or quinacridone burnt orange or so. Down here. And that pumpkin got a little bit of misshapen right there, so I'm gonna get the green and fix that. Comes in right there. And pull some of that green up into the bottom there to shade it. Quinacridone burnt orange here. Glazing here, got transparent color here. Just glazing is just a thin wash of color, so just using that to darken up that bottom edge of these pumpkins, and just make sure it blends up into it. Doesn't have any obvious lines. Cadmium red, cadmium orange, quinacridone burnt orange. This is pretty much our pumpkin colors that we've been using. Let's use some of that in here. This color just makes it glow. I love that cadmium red and cadmium orange have such a vibrant undertone. Get a little bit of the yellow, both of the yellows, and add it to that. Use it on this one. And that yellow from about halfway up. Okay. Let's go ahead and use this color on this. Tinting these orange. This is somewhat transparent. It's It's not fully transparent. It's covering a little bit. Just adding this orange color, orange yellow. And up in here where I want it a little bit more transparent, I can just take my paper towel and wipe it back off some areas if I don't want it to cover that area. The yellow helps a lot, I think. It makes it a little bit more natural color. Separation between this blue and the orange, kind of good transition color. Right. Get a little bit of the white. I don't know why I brought it all that way there. It's really only just right here.
Yeah, I was sitting over here like, what the heck is going on? She is going off the rails over there.
I know.
I'm about to come over and take that brush away from you.
Oh, really?
No, not really. I could paint smiley faces on the pumpkins. That's about it.
Okay. All right, trying to see if there's anything I'm missing. I'm letting this dry. We'll put the first coat on there. Pretty much out of my blues. I'm going to just mix up some more. And out of white too. I'm going to have to clean off my palette here in a minute.
Yeah, that lower part of your palette is kind of going off camera some. So,
Is it?
Yeah.
Down here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah, that's a whole like half-inch there almost. Inch missing on the bottom.
Do you want me to get the tape measure out and measure it real quick?
Yep. Got a brush here I can use. That's 3/8 inch, so it's a half inch, pretty sure.
I love you.
All right, and this one again is not as blue. So I'm going to use more white here. I mixed up the blue and then I'm just grabbed white and brought it over here and used what's left in my brush with the blue in it. I'm getting some glaze here. Wipe that brush off and just gonna pull that paint down and push it around while it's wet. You gotta do this quickly. You can get a little bit of glaze too and use that to kind of manipulate that paint. You could use water too, but glaze works too. So it didn't go on super smooth the first time around, so we'll just have to put another coat on it. It's okay. And I will put in some of the lines there. I'm seeing. And then let's use this color over here. So don't forget this curve. It doesn't go straight in here. It curves in. So there's a little bit of a curve. The only place where it's like really straight is like maybe like right here. Everything else is going to have a slight curve to it going into this middle of the pumpkin. So remember to leave that in. Light, white, blue highlight. Okay, we're getting close. Getting closer. Pretty bright, so I'm going to go back in and really brightening this up. It's very close to white. Like that. Get some of the yellow. Some of this yellow orange here. Some white.
So I know you talked earlier about the traceables. Did you talk about all the other fun things on Patreon?
No, I did not.
Okay, for those who are not aware, over there on patreon.com/AngelaFineArt, there's different levels you can sign up for, and the $2 level gets you the traceables, and that gets you all of the traceables back to February 2017. Not just this month's. And then also we have a $5 level, which is the traceables plus access to a bonus video, which we did last Sunday, right?
Yeah, it's over there. You can grab it if you want. Show it.
It was the cat, right?
Black cat.
We'll get it here in a second. But it's also not just that. It's all the past $5 level bonus videos.
Yeah, we've got a cornucopia that I've been seeing people paint into that we did a couple of years ago that's been pretty popular.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bonus video.
And then there's the $10 level, which is all of that. Plus there's an additional Facebook group that you join. And then there's a painting bonus video in there that goes throughout the whole month. And it's a moose.
We paint. They have their own private class on Thursdays.
Right.
That we do videos.
So check it out.
Yeah.
And remember,
they're more advanced stuff. So, the stuff that I do on YouTube is more for beginner and intermediates. And then, if you're ready to take it to the next level or you just want to hang out with us, there's some more. There's, more stuff available, but they're definitely more on the advanced side of the lessons. They're longer. They're just ones that we don't do on YouTube because they just take too long. They're not practical to do on YouTube. Here, so here's our kitty cat from the other night. I think it was 5 hours, right?
Yeah, somewhere in there. No, 4 hours. 4 hours.
4 hours.
A little bit over 4 hours, yeah.
Yeah, so he turned out fun. So we've been painting a lot of pumpkins this fall. Sorry to our Australian folks that are coming into spring and they're not into pumpkins at all.
So, all that, and just to remind you that Patreon is a third-party service.
Yes.
And also they charge at the calendar month. So you'll be charged at the first of the month, and that's good through the end of the month.
You'll be charged at the day you sign up, and then again on the first of every month after that.
Correct. Yep.
So yeah, I get emails like, why did they charge me twice? And I'm like, well, because you signed up 3 days before the end of the month.
Yeah. So
I hate that, but that's how it works.
Yeah, we have no control over it.
Nope. They charge the day you sign up, no matter what day of the month it is, during the month it is. And then that's for that month that you're currently in. So if you only have a day left, you're paying for the full month for just one day. Mm-hmm. And then it'll charge you again the next month. So it's charging you for access to that month's content. Right. Yes. And it also includes all of our previous months, but some people don't do it that way. Some people only have monthly content, and so that's why I think they do it,
Right,
that way.
And be extra careful if you're signing up for the year. So you get the 12 months. So, if you sign up at the end of a month,
right,
you may lose that whole month. So.
Right. Yes.
But thank you to the thousands of supporters over there on Patreon. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, y'all are awesome. And they're very, very sweet to me because Thursday we were supposed to do a video and my dad showed up, so they told me to take the day off, and I did. So thanks to my patrons out there. They're good. You guys are really sweet. And we enjoyed the day a lot. We didn't do anything. We watched movies all day. I don't remember what we watched, but
it's just good old hangout time with your dad.
Yep, that's the best. So Missing my daddy. And it's been nice since he's been sick, but just to get to see him and hang out with him. With all this going on, we hadn't been able to visit him, so. All right, that's good. I'm pretty happy with how these are turning out. I definitely love the blue. Isn't it blue? Like, you don't see it now, like, right? But it's there, and it really does add to, it makes it just much more interesting, I think, visually, to have that blue tone in there.
Yeah, somebody just asked, were you just mixing white and orange just now?
No, this was that yellow-orange mixture. It had these two colors and then the yellow and the yellows, and then it has white in it too. So it had kind of all of the yellow oranges. Yeah, I'm going to clean off this whole palette because I can't tell what's going on anymore. And everything is halfway dry, so. If you've got a glass palette and you need to scrape it, wet it down a little bit, and it comes off real easy. If you don't wet it, it just chips off. Mark can attest to that because he didn't know that trick. He came back and it was like little bits of paint everywhere. I was like, what did you do? Okay, just cleaned it off. Are you? Bless you. Oh, wow. You been eating chocolate over there? I've been sneezing every time I eat chocolate lately. I was like, I better not be allergic to chocolate. That's all I know. That would be a cruel, cruel thing. All right. I'm cleaning that up. That is pretty much, these paints need to be freshened up because they are all pretty much dried out. So I'm going to just get some fresh green and some fresh, I think the blue's okay. I'm not using that much. I don't think I need it, much of it, but the oranges for sure. Which I'm mostly done with the pumpkins. There's not a whole lot left on them, but it will help to have fresh paint. A little bit of that. 2.5 hours, so I swear I can't do painting fast anymore. I don't know. I painted a whole Santa Claus in 2.5 hours a couple of years ago. It's like, I think it would take me 5 hours now if I tried it. I swear. So much slower. Not sure why. I think I'm going more detailed with my paintings than I used to.
That's it.
I can't help it. I haven't painted. What I need to do is I need to sit down with a class of kids. When you paint with kids, you have to simplify everything. Speed things up real fast. Otherwise, you're in trouble. So I think I need to just sit down with some kids and paint with them for a little while. And I'll speed myself back up again. Okay, I have all this green here that's still clean or wet, I think, but I'm going to go ahead and put out some fresh just in case. There, my purple's probably dry too. I think my burnt umber is okay. I had a lot of it to start with, so. Okay. This is where normally I would just stop and take a break. Let it dry really well. Let all my layers dry, after a couple hours. Just take yourself a break. Let your painting dry. Look at it from a distance. And once you're getting to the stage where you're getting close to being done, this is where you need to reevaluate your values and things like that. So I can see looking at I'm looking at the monitor, looking at mine versus the one on the screen. I can already tell up in here, all of this needs to be much brighter values. This is pretty good dark wise. I'm pretty happy with the dark values. I probably need to go a little bit darker, but I'm going to go ahead and put my grass in and see what it does. Or put some of the grass in probably. I might put a little bit of the darker values in these ones here, but yeah, I can see that I need just a little bit more of the lighter values. Most of these are okay, I think, up in there. But just these two, probably these two and maybe this one. Mark.
The three pumpkins we should paint are. Wait, let's go out and come back in.
Four pumpkins. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. I still have white, so I think I'm alright with that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the stems in because I don't have those. Well, no, I think I'm going to wait because those stems are going to be on top of everything. So I'm going to put those in very last because there's nothing that's going to be covering them. The grass is all going to be behind them, so it'll be one less thing to paint around. Okay, so I want to darken up my shadows on here. So I'm going to go ahead and use the green and my Quinacridone Burnt Orange. Make a really dark green, brownish. Really, I could probably use Burnt Umber, but I got a little bit of the oranges here. Cadmium Red Light, Cadmium Orange, or no, Cadmium Red Light, Quinacridone Burnt Orange, and Phthalo Green Yellow shade. Oh my gosh, I cannot speak. Okay, so I'm going to go right along that bottom edge there and just really darken up just where it goes under the grass. I'm going on top of the grass too, some right there. Just make sure it's dark enough. Really shadow that area in good. I'm going to go ahead and get the Burnt Umber, Quinacridone Burnt Orange. There we go. Just putting it on the tip of my brush, I can control it a little bit better. Oops, it's off camera there. So I want the bottom of that pumpkin to be almost the same darkness as the grass that's underneath it. It's really pretty much the same darkness. So that's how dark I need to get it. I need to bring it up to that darkness, just right where it tucks underneath. It doesn't have to go that far up, but it just needs to be really dark right along that bottom edge. Okay, that's better. And I'm going to do right along this side. Let's get a little bit of darkness. Going a little bit more opaque here with the Cadmium Red Light. Seeing some grass through that one right there. Just darkening up that side of it. Pulling some of that color up. This one's got a lot of more contrast, so this one's got a lot more dark and light contrast. It's got really, really dark and really, really light on top. This one's not as much. Got some, but not as much. Getting more sun. This one's maybe behind this hill and some more in the shadow. Possibly. white, a little bit of blue. Using the larger brush will make it easier too to be a little more precise with where that color goes. I can really get it just on the tip of the brush and really press down so that I've got a good float on it. Floating is just, I've got a little bit of orange there. That's all right. That doesn't bother me. Floating is just when you've got color on one side of your brush and no color on the other side, and you're putting that ombre. It's a decorative painting technique, but it works well here. That way we don't have to blend it in. It just automatically blends for us if we do it right. I'm drawing the tip straight down to draw in those kind of stripes that are in the pumpkins. These pumpkins got some like striped parts.
Did you say striped?
Striped parts. Yes, I did. Why?
So I was just clarifying.
Yes.
She says whispering.
I know, sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
This part of the painting where
They're stripies.
put some floaty highlighty things on the pumpkin.
All right, I'll talk louder. Getting into it here. Getting the white, picking up a little bit of that blue, but mostly just white hair. And I want it a little bit more opaque here because this needs to be bright. So it goes mostly almost down to the grass here. Come on. Here we go. Okay. Now, so every now and then I'm going to look up or, take a step back if you're painting. Not filming yourself like I am. I have the benefit of having that camera, so I can kind of look at it from a distance through the camera. And just see what it looks like. Definitely getting closer. I think it still needs to be a little bit brighter right here. Get a little bit more white. A little bit more water. If I take the color off the back, or if I kind of get some water and then dab that back end of the brush off, it'll pull off any paint that's back there. And pick up some more paint on the very tip of the brush. There we go. Very small brush strokes, so. Of course, I don't have the center of the pumpkin in yet, so it's a little bit hard to know where it's supposed to be, but this is not coming down very far, so I don't want to bring it down. Just want it right around the top area right there, and then along this side here. And that is starting to dry up there, so I need to be careful. I don't want to mess with that much more right there while it's drying. Let's get some more water, a little bit of paint. And this is very bright right here. I want to pull from that brightest area down so that I don't get like a separation between my color. Okay, I think that's good. I'm going to use the tip of the brush to draw in kind of some very faint indications of those lines in my pumpkin. Right in here somewhere. Just scribbling with the tip of the brush there to draw those in. Do one right here. This one's got a nice bright one. There we go. Okay, now I want to push back some of the color in some of these areas. So I'm going to get some of my yellow and Quinacridone or orange and yellow, Cadmium Red Light, and yellow, both yellows. Here. Okay, and then glaze, a little bit of white. But mainly I'm just trying to glaze and kind of push back some of this blue if I need to, and some of those areas. Some of them I got too much. Like this one I did. Maybe get some of that darker color and bring it to the middle. And this is totally optional right here. Once we get to this point, we're getting to kind of the nitty gritty here. I'm just gonna add a little bit of yellow glaze to some of these. You don't have to do that if you've already got it on there. You know, it just depends on your pumpkins, what you're seeing on yours, if you need it or not. So you may not need to do this. Get some cadmium or some of the yellow oxide here and white, and put some stripes on that one right there. Okay, I put way too much color, so I'm getting some of the red back. Just touching up. a little bit of the blue and white. I still have that orange in my brush, but it's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. I'm just going to use it right here. Need it pretty bright. Just need it right on this edge right here. There we go. Right there. And then I want to use it right here. Right here. Now this brush is starting to get a little bit too big for these pumpkins over here, so we have to switch back over, but I think we're doing okay. Putting in some separation if you need them between the sections of the pumpkin. With the tip of the brush, just using it to kind of draw those lines down. And then this pumpkin over here is definitely brighter than I have him or her. Again, some yellow here just to put these lines in. More yellow than white, so just going to glazing back over those to tone them down a little bit. Put some yellow over some of those, and then any of them that need to be shadowed, like this one right at the bottom there, as it comes down, that line is going to be darkened. All these lines need to be darkened as they come down. So adding that shadow color, just glazing over where they come down under the pumpkin. Okay, let's put in some grass and be done. I'm going to go ahead and grab this brush. We'll see how it does. This is the number 6 Petals brush. I've got this green grass here. I'm going to get kind of both colors on my brush, so I've got a little variation. And they actually stayed pretty wet, so I'm not going to have to do much. I'm going to go ahead and use the very tip. Oh, that's nice. I like that. I can already tell I like this brush. Okay, third brush with it. Yep, that's nice. Okay, so the nice thing about using a larger brush than for grasses and things like this is that you don't have to reload it as often. So I can do multiple grasses and you don't have to. And just to do some leaves, I'm going to just kind of plop the tip of it down. There's some leaves and things. Like really nice randomness happening there. Let's get some of the green. Man, that green is already dry. It's a brand new bottle, but it's coming out kind of sticky, so I think it's old. Oh no, like it's thick. It's not normal. Usually pretty creamy coming out of the bottle, the golden paints. Alright, So there, and then I'm going to get some of them. This is just to grab for lighter, darker colors if I need it. So, add some darker colors here and there. I need it to be even darker, more toned.
Oh, which brush do you have right now?
This is called Petals. It's a new brush that the brush guy sent me to try out. Yeah. So if you don't have this one, just you could use a angle brush.
So it's not on your list yet?
No, it's not on my list. I wanted to use it first and see if I liked it.
Well, that's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. At the bottom of these, I want to have some dark, so I'm just going to go back in with the dark. Just make sure that I have the bottoms kind of camouflaged somewhat. Get some cadmium red light here. Mix with this green. White. Just stop whispering. Sorry. When I get tired, I start to whisper. Not tired, just kind of into the zone. Focused, yes, that's the word. Please don't leave me a message about it. I know I do it. I don't do it on purpose. I promise. I wish I didn't do it too. So just save yourself the trouble. It's amazing. Okay. I like how this is doing these little grasses. Seem to be doing a pretty good job. I'm just working my way back down here. Love it. So using that lighter color and just, that's a green that had the yellows in it. I think this was both the blue, green, and yellows. So all four of those colors together with white. And that's what this color was. And then this is with more white in it and more yellow added. So if you don't remember from before, you can go back and check, make sure that that's right. I think it is accurate. But if you don't trust me, I would check. It's been a minute since I mixed it, so. And just keep on moving down. So if you kind of overlap from the top back, you know, from the top down, then you put your next layer will just cover the bottom of the grasses before. So that's the whole idea, is to kind of be building so that your upper layers are kind of camouflaging where the last layer stopped. And be sure you're kind of leaving some of these darker, so I'm going to use the darker colors in some of these shadowed areas, because there's some areas where there's kind of shadows happening, so that will help those areas look more natural. You can always shadow back over them if you do too much of lighter colors too, so don't worry about it if you get going and you don't leave enough of the dark colors there. You can always go back in and add glaze back over them. Finding if I just kind of hold the tip facing me, it's working pretty well. So if I do it this way, it's going a little thicker, but if I turn the tip down, I'm getting thinner lines with it. Okay. Be able to kind of turn them different directions. They're wanting to go a little bit wide on me though, so I have to be careful. Like they're if I don't angle them just right, they're going a little bit thick. So there's some little leafy things like clovers and things that are in here. I'm seeing, I probably do, let me see about, I'm going to do the angle brush for some of those because those have more rounded tipped leaves, so you can get a better round dots by using the angle brush straight down, dabbing it. Get our little clovers. Some of those leaves are quite large, and these ones are a little bit smaller. And again, I'm not like drawing them 4-leaf clovers everywhere, just dabbing the tip down to create leaf-like shapes that vaguely connect, you know. Okay, let's go back to this. Look how nicely that does. Very nice. Make sure you're adding enough water to your paint because it will not come off a liner brush or anything, you know, that's trying to do a thin line if it doesn't have enough water. It needs to be fluid. Yep. See how much better that flows off the brush if you a little bit of water in your brush. Your paint's more fluid. So as we get down closer, we can do our grass is a little bit longer, a little bit thicker, so I can press down a little bit harder with them and bring them up a little bit more. Doing okay, hon? Mm-hmm. Hanging in.
Yes, we've been asked when you're done with the brush there to kind of get a close up
of it. Okay. I can take a minute here in a second.
I'm looking at the Blick website and they've got some interesting pictures.
Okay.
For it too.
Of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's in the VelvetTouch series, right?
Yes.
$39.50.
Yeah, that's not the price, right?
No, that's not the price. That's
Okay,
just
sure.
the series number.
So make sure clear there. Yeah, series $39.50. Yeah. Okay, you should just call it VelvetTouch. That green is way too, whoops, sorry, way too thick. But yeah, that's what it looks like there. It's triangular. The top of it is triangle. And then it's got kind of a flat side here. And then the pointed tip angles up to the pointed tip on one side. So I assume that you can do like petal shapes pretty easily. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's it.
it's like a one stroke brush, I think.
We got a top down picture of.
Yeah. So when you're doing grasses, you're going to want to just make sure that I hold it way far back on my brush and do it quickly. Don't try to get too fancy with it and, try to go slow. I feel like if you go slow, they're just not going to quite, look right. Make sure you're changing the direction that you're doing them. So but they do grow kind of in clumps, so you can kind of pick a spot and just kind of do several, kind of going in a fan out from that area and then move over and do another one next to it and that kind of thing. That'll make it look a little bit more natural, I find. Clear out these a little bit. Get some of that darker green for some of these areas in here. Trying not to go over my pumpkins now. This is the tricky part. Just to kind of go in between them. Because we've got the pumpkins pretty much done, so we don't want to mess those up. We're just trying to overlap some of these grasses in over the top of our pumpkins. Do some leaves over the top. Some of these. Okay, I do see where I got some green over that little pumpkin right there. I don't want it right there. That's a green that's supposed to be for that pumpkin back there, but not this one. So I definitely could use some more yellow. I'm seeing yellow, kind of gold, so I'm going to use some yellow and orange there. Cadmium yellow and orange. Cadmium orange. And some of my white. I'm going to glaze some of this back here. This more bright yellow orange color. We'll get some light enough grasses that'll kind of tone those and turn the color a little bit to more this golden tone. I'm going to go over my pumpkins too a little bit. It's not going to hurt them. It's going to make them look kind of hazy, like they're getting some sunshine on them. Just these ones that are far back here. Especially up in here where that gold is coming down off the hill. This is all kind of hazy through here. See how that does? Kind of just tones everything a little bit. I could go even brighter. probably should have had some brighter color back here if I wanted to. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. If I wanted to have some more of that glow, I could have gone just a little bit brighter, and then could glaze it. But this is working all right. It's sort of light enough, I think. Close enough. All right, let's put on the one here. Let me clean that brush out because it's just been sitting with that paint in it for a minute. All right, getting some of that lighter color. Getting some of the medium green, just changing it up. It really doesn't matter necessarily what green you use where, just as long as you're kind of changing it up and, you know, using different greens, different widths of brush. So, like, now that these are getting a little bit wider brush strokes, I could probably switch my brush. I'm just going to go ahead and try to kind of press down a little bit harder with this. I think it's going to work. But if it didn't, then I could switch to a different brush. Then, all right. And so if I've got like an area like in here where I'm seeing like some obvious ends of my brush or ends of my grasses, I can just kind of go back in here and add some leaves over it, or, you know, just kind of play with it so that it kind of hides a little bit of what's going on there. Makes it a little bit more natural looking. I just kind of scribble a little bit here. There's grasses that are kind of going out every which way, and I'm just gonna create some little chaos in the background grasses, and then kind of go back in with my upper grasses, so there'll be stuff going on underneath. Okay, I like it. What do you think, hon? Am I missing anything? Are people seeing anything that
stems?
I forgot? Oh, yes, thank you. Yes, I would forget.
The feet of the birds?
Yeah, the feet of the birds, yep. Could add birds to this, it would look cool.
And are you going to add any more of the sun glow or rays or anything like that?
I'm not sure.
And if not, how would somebody do that?
I just did it.
Oh, when I wasn't paying attention?
Right. I just added that yellow haze over all the pumpkins. That's what I just did.
Okay. Well, I think the person was asking more about, like, if you were like had to have like more pronounced rays coming from the sun area.
Yeah, I've done that before. I would watch that the green path video. That's probably one of the better ones that I've for sun rays.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing as obvious like lines as I did in that video, so I'm not going to do that. But I did do the kind of haze color over here a minute ago, so you could just do more of that like I just did. You could use the Zinc White if you wanted to have it more transparent. Use Zinc White and just bring it down some. I'm going to use a little bit lighter whitish color here. I'd do it today, but Mark wants to go eat something, so.
That is Big 10-4, good buddy.
Accurate. I can hear his stomach growling from here, so I need to get him fed. Don't think he anticipated it being this long, neither did I. All right, getting pretty close to being done here.
I think we need to do Italian tonight.
I think so too. I like that idea.
After talking about it last night, then winding up having
Exactly.
Mexican.
Me too. I was like, oh, so disappointed yesterday when my dad was like, let's do Mexican.
We were dropping hints all day long about Italian.
I know.
And he's like, how about tacos? like, oh, yeah,
okay.
sure.
Tacos.
It was good, though. It was very good.
Yeah, it was good. It was fine. I can always do Mexican food.
Yep.
But yeah, after talking about doing it and thinking about doing it, yeah, I was definitely missing it.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking the exact same thing today. I was like, well, I know we have stuff to make, but it really sounds good.
Yes.
And nobody wants to cook after all this, so. I'm liking this. I think it's turned out pretty cool. If I do say so myself.
Looking pretty sweet.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, I'm going to do some small little dabs of some lighter colors here. There is some clover, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in because flowers. Hello?
No flower.
Yes, there's flowers. There's clover in here. That's what I'm saying. So we're doing flowers.
But clover isn't flowering in the fall, is it?
It is in this picture. So, magenta and the Quinacridone burnt orange. You can do as much or as little as you want of this. Just putting down some color for the base, and then I'm going to use white mostly. It's kind of an orangey or a reddish orange pink color here. Yeah, just dabbing those highlighted. Bristle is spiky, so just like little spiky tips on. Nothing too fancy. Cute. Let's do the stems. Let's see. There you go. Yellow oxide. Mostly looks like yellow oxide burnt umber. Yep. You could probably add a little bit of green to some of them too if you wanted to. Widen it out. It's actually kind of a pentagon shape there where it touches in. I'm not going to draw it in that one though. Okay, getting the unbleached titanium and just highlighting that one side of it down in there a little bit. The yellow oxide. And I'm seeing red too. Probably reflecting off the lighter colors there. Get a little bit of darker burnt umber there. Okay, and then next, this one's down just right in here, right at the top. A little bit. I didn't place these two right. So this is supposed to be right in the middle of those two. But oh well. Close enough, I guess.
You're painting your world.
Yep, I am.
It can be wherever it wants to be.
He wanted to be over here.
That's right.
this one doesn't have one. That one doesn't have one. This one doesn't have one. This one has one right here. It's down in here. Curving out this way. You could put them on all of them if you want to, though. Don't have to do it like I'm doing. So where it goes down in, widen it out a little bit. Otherwise it kind of looks like it's stuck on there. Just widen out that base just slightly. A little bit of a darkness there. There's one right here on this guy. One on this guy. Burnt umber here. This guy's darker.
And that looks good.
Thank you.
I think you got them all.
Think I got them all? No, I missed one up here. Use a little bit of the yellow and white here to highlight this guy. Okay, getting the angle brush now. I'm going to get my Quinacridone Burnt Orange and my yellow, or Cadmium Red Light. And I'm going to go right in here, right up underneath there, and just pull out just a little bit. Try that again. I don't think I like that color. I'm going to use a little bit more orange. So just right around that. I just need to tint that so it looks like it's sitting in there. This side is mainly, well, there is a little bit of it showing right there. Get some yellow. Yeah, it's not that bright. There we go. Get some of that stem color and just mix it with that orange. So it's kind of toned down just a little bit. Okay. I'm going to use this round brush. I think I can get a better handle on it. There we go. Just a little bit. I'm going to get some white for this one. Go in front of it. What are you laughing at?
I'm not laughing at anything.
Oh, I thought you were laughing. Were you moving something? I thought I heard snickering.
Nope, not from over here at least. Might be the ghosts or something.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
Or the voices in your head again.
That could very well be. All right, I'm sticking all this back in here in the water. I don't like that, so I'm just going to wipe it off. If you catch it when it's just first put down, it'll come off. Just make sure you don't have any wet paint underneath, otherwise it'll take that off too. Okay, can I get the kind of unbleached titanium here? Just trying to pull down some color right here. I'm seeing like an area right in here that is more orangey than we have it, so just go away, fly. You gotta be careful doing this now because we've got all this, you know, the grass painted in, so you can't do too much editing, except for just, you know, right around the stems and things. That's working okay, right there. I'm just gonna pull some of that off. There we go. And then use the burnt umber. Come on, if I can get some green. I'm just gonna glaze down here, get it really dark green brown. You can even get a little bit of purple if you want. And get down in here where it goes from the light to the dark. You have to wait for your grass to dry, obviously, but go back in here because you can see all these like little ends of these colors right here. So I'm just gonna get in here with this dark color and disappear it down into the grasses. And I'm almost opaque here, so yeah, there we go. Really dark. You can clean up any of these if they got too thick or whatever. You can go over them, but this will help kind of tone everything in too. So especially if you've got any areas that are obviously sticking out, or like I said before, like if you've got some areas over here that maybe are in the shadow and you've got some really bright grasses, you can tone those down a little bit. I would probably do this and then go back over one more time with my grass color. Get a little bit, I'm going to get the liner brush this time, script liner. Get a lot of water in my light green. Let's do a few more last grasses. This brush will give me a little bit more control. I did like that other brush, but it was a little bit unpredictable. Somewhat, I'm sure if I used it more, I'll get better at it, but okay. Neighbor with the loud truck going by. Okay. That's good. Did that. Let's sign it. I think we're done. I'm going to sign it with the lighter color. Light green here. I have the number 1 round. We'll see if I can get it small enough. I think I can. I'm going to do it over here though. Got a water drop. Again. Some water came off my brush there. Done. All right, that was fun. I hope you try it. If you do, you can share it with me on my social media. I got all kinds of links down in the description. Also places to buy the materials that I was using in the video. Missed one of the stems here and here, so I'm going to do those real quick while I'm talking. And hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Share it with your friends. That always helps let people know what is happening, you know, on YouTube. Let people know about our videos. If you do paint along, we've got information down below about, you know, if you can, like, we don't mind you selling it, just as long as you don't, like, open up an Etsy store with all my paintings in it, you know. Yeah, make some extra money for Christmas. Buy some new paint supplies. If you're like me, that's what all my art money went to, new paint supplies. Anytime I made any money, so I always put it back in. Buy more paints. Whatever. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it, like I said. And be sure to come back. What day? Tuesday.
Tuesday, yep.
Tuesday we'll have another video for you.
It's the mountain scene with the yellow trees.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that one. We're going to definitely simplify it. If you're a fan of the Disney Sleeping Beauty movies, the artist that did that, he had a real distinct style. And I thought when I saw those trees, it reminded me of something he might do. So we're going to definitely kind of simplify it a little bit and maybe adapt it so it looks a little bit more like his style of painting. I don't know if I can do it, but we'll try. So, all right. Thanks, guys, for watching today. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we will see you next time. Bye.